Breath of the Wild's world is full of mystery and unanswered questions. It's the result of an endless cycle of hatred, reincarnated time and time again, which results in the downfall of civilization and rise of a hero. Those with the soul of a hero, and one holding the blood of the goddess, destined to defeat an ancient evil, its history predating Hyrule itself. Impa tells us of a battle which transpired 10,000 years prior to Breath of the Wild's events. The Demon Kane's transformation into Malice gave birth to an entity referred to as Calamity Ganon. Thanks to the technological advancements of the Sheikah, a tribe loyal to the royal family of Hyrule, his eventual attack was met head-on and neutralized. The combined efforts of both the Sheikah's technology and those fated to assist the ancient hero and princess led to the sealing of Calamity Ganon. The details of this battle would be lost to history with the passing of thousands of years, which brings us to the present day. A kingdom which was annihilated with the return of the Calamity, thanks to the very same technology used to seal this entity long ago. The world of Hyrule is littered with structures dating back a century, with the destruction of the kingdom along with ancient ruins, their origins unknown. One thing is clear. These structures have existed long before the events of the Great Calamity, with a lifespan surpassing thousands of years. Much of the game's story focuses on the technology created by the Sheikah tribe, whether it be the shrines that train the hero, or divine beasts and guardians which were taken over by Ganon's malice. Little is known about other ruins, such as the Forgotten Temple within the Tanagar Canyon, and the Lanayru Promenade, a path which connects Kakariko Village to the base of Mount Lanayru. But these structures pale in comparison to those of another tribe, ones which are located all across Hyrule, home to several of the shrines, used as puzzles and challenges for the hero to overcome. These ruins consist of oddly designed pillars and walls, along with statues resembling three creatures: the owl, boar, and dragon. Most of these structures lie within the Faron region, including a path snaking its way through the woods to one of the three sacred springs. Statues of dragons line this path, along with multiple enemies. This location's name? Zonai Ruins. In the entirety of Breath of the Wild, the word Zonai is used only once. There is no other mention of this particular group, even at places heavily influenced by this tribe, such as Typhlo Ruins, which is filled to the brim with similar ancient structures. Their lack of presence in Hyrule, aside from the ruins, made the mystery of both their origins and fate fall on deaf ears. It wasn't until E3 of 2019 that interest in the Zonai would spike. The trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 featured both Link and Zelda exploring underground caverns, possibly located deep beneath Hyrule Castle. Multiple structures resembling Zonai architecture can be found, along with the same pillars located at ruins associated with this group. The Zonai have gone from being the least discussed topic to one of Breath of the Wild's greatest mysteries. The inclusion of the ruins in not one, but several shots heavily implies they will have some sort of involvement in the story, whether it be a major or minor role. Dozens of videos exist with the attempt at answering this question, each one bringing a different idea to the table. We've briefly discussed the Zonai, however they've never been a central focus of any video, with the exception of a couple. Instead of making multiple theories on the topic, I've waited with the intent of making one video, where we outline multiple possibilities with in-game details, accurate translations from the Masterworks book, even information of past titles in the series. Nothing's off the table when tackling this mystery. Who are the Zonai, and what happened to them? A simple question, with a complicated answer. When the topic of the Zonai is brought up, most think about either the ruins from Breath of the Wild or the trailer of the sequel. Truth is, players were given hints of this tribe's existence long before the release of the game. We must go back to 2014, a year of big releases from Nintendo such as Mario Kart 8 and Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. E3 of 2014 presented the world with a first look at Zelda Wii U, a short clip of Link's encounter with a Guardian. There's one shot in particular that stands out, and chances are that most overlooked it. In both the foreground and background, statues of an owl and dragon are present, the same ones which appear in Faron and other parts of Hyrule. Breath of the Wild 2's teaser went a similar route, with the appearance of Zonai structures, which later on will be analyzed further. Many people believe this means the tribe will have a much more prominent role in the next game, myself included. Whether it will be a huge part of the plot or not, that's up for debate. There is an argument against their appearance, as structures were present in Breath of the Wild's initial teaser, yet the Zonai had no involvement in that game's story. The appearance of the ruins in the sequel's trailer, therefore, cannot be used as concrete evidence. Technically, yes, because while the clues are there, we can't be sure of their relevance to the plot as more information is needed. It remains a theory until proven or disproven. What's different about the trailer for the sequel is that we have not only a teaser, but an entire first game to look at in terms of information. Breath of the Wild was used to create a foundation for the mystery surrounding this tribe and their absence from the world of Hyrule. Now that players have a brief insight on who the Zonai were, this knowledge has helped with gathering bits of the overall puzzle, and Breath of the Wild 2 may present us with the rest, giving us a clear answer as to what happened with this tribe. The Japanese name for Zonai is Zona. The name of their tribe comes from the word Zona, which is an anagram for Nazo, translating to mystery. So, the mystery or mysterious tribe. Typhlo Ruin's name also comes from this method. It translates to Doriberon Isiki. Isiki for ruins, and Doriberon being an anagram for Barando. Blind. Therefore, the English version used the word Typhlo, a Greek word for blind. The numerous Zonai ruins scattered across Hyrule can make the investigation of this group feel overwhelming. It's best to pinpoint one location and start from there. And what better place to start than their home base, within the region of Faron. The Zonai ruins consists of a river which snakes its way to an opening, featuring a dragon statue of huge proportions. Inside of it, the Sacred Spring of Courage. This location is vital to Link's journey if he wishes to complete all 120 shrines. The serpent-like shape of the river is related to one of Kass's ancient songs, the Serpent's Jaw. Offering one of Farash's scales to the spring will open the path to the Sheikah Shrine. Its reward? A Thunder Spear. More information on the Zonai ruins can be found in Creating a Champion, a localized version of the Masterworks book. To keep information as accurate as possible, we'll be using the direct translations of this book provided by LoruleanHistorian. The mysterious race and historic sites of the Zonai, said to be a savage tribe that made their base in Faron. The observed historic ruins, which incorporate a similar design with that of the Zonai Historic Site complex, are jotted down in green on the map. Scattered far and wide in Hyrule, it was discovered that they were constructing enormous castles, and numerous baffling signs observed indicating that they were coupled with shrines of trials and the like. Holding a mystical power, with the rumor that the tribe disappeared suddenly several years ago, this mystery has become Hyrule's greatest mystery yet unsolved. Multiple bits of information are given to us from this passage. It describes the Zonai as a savage tribe, with their base in Faron. The enormous castles mentioned are most likely the 3 labyrinths in Hebra, Akkala, and Gerudo Desert. Neither the shape nor size of the other ruins match this description. Though, similar to the Lome labyrinths, most of the Zonai ruins are coupled with shrine quests. The Faron Woods gives us a glimpse at all the structures built by this tribe. Specifically, the statues of the boar, owl, and dragon, 2 types of pillars, the small one featuring engravings of a snake-like creature. Even the walls have a unique style which complements their other structures. And places like the Pumag Nite Shrine have stone with the swirl pattern on the ground. Others worth noting are the twinning snakes at the back of the spring, the giant dragon head with claws on each side, the bird torches exclusive to Typhlo ruins, a circular monument which may have been made by the Zonai, and the blocks from Korok puzzles, with that iconic swirl engraved into them. Some of these special cases will be addressed later. That includes the tall pillars all across Hyrule which resemble the shape of Sheikah towers. Of all the ancient ruins found within Breath of the Wild, ones built by the Zonai make up a big portion. The Thundra Plateau, Typhlo ruins, Palmore ruins, and 3 Lome labyrinths. If we include their home base in Faron, each is tied to a shrine quest. Trial of Thunder, Shrouded Shrine, a fragmented monument, the labyrinth puzzles, and of course, the Serpent's Jaw. Hebra also features some Zonai structures, in the form of doors which can be broken into with snowballs. The same snake pattern is engraved into the stone. Whoever this tribe was, it's clear they had some sort of connections to the Sheikah. The Zonai are rumored to have a mystical power. Creating a Champion describes them as magic wielders. The series has seen its share of tribes which excel in magic, such as the creators of Majora's Mask and the interlopers of Twilight Princess. It's possible that the Zonai have some connections to these past tribes, however that's a discussion for later. Lastly, it's said that the tribe suddenly disappeared several thousand years ago. Hyrule is home to several races: Hylians, Sheikah, Zora, Rito, Gorons, Gerudo, Koroks, and not a single trace of the Zonai, aside from their ancient ruins. It's as if they've been wiped from history, and there's no mention of them in Impa's story recounting the events 10,000 years ago. This leaves us with tons of questions and not many answers. If we draw a timeline of events, taking into account their sudden disappearance and the state of the ruins, there's two possibilities. The detail which helps us greatly is the inclusion of Sheikah shrines within the Zonai's key locations, which we know were created around 10,000 years ago. The tribe only could have vanished after the ruins were built. If they were collaborating with the Sheikah to build structures specifically used for shrine puzzles, their disappearance was sometime after the technology was built. While this is possible, only the Sheikah are referenced in Impa's story, which is strange, as they too played a part in preparing for Calamity Ganon. The second option, which is much more likely, is that the Zonai tribe vanished long before the events 10,000 years ago, and the Sheikah transformed their ruins into trials for the hero. We have in-game examples which further prove this. More specifically, Typhlo Ruins and the Gerudo Wasteland. The bird torches found in the former were most likely built by the Zonai, perhaps to conquer the darkness that plagues the ruins. We don't know when this place was cast into shadow, but we do know that other locations which the environment is crucial to the shrine quest, like the thunderstorms in Tabantha and Faron and Sandstorm in the Gerudo Desert, vanish once the shrine is completed. Typhlo is different, as the place remains in perpetual darkness even after completing the puzzle. The bird torches within Typhlo are positioned to face another, creating a path to the Keto Wewe Shrine. If the mini-dungeons were added to the ruins, thousands of years after the tribe's disappearance, why would the Zonai position them in a way that leads to a structure that doesn't yet exist? Remember what we said regarding the second possibility. The Sheikah had transformed the ruins into trials for the hero. The small statues were moved and Typhlo was repurposed to act as a maze for the hero to conquer. Something similar is found within the Gerudo Desert. Link traverses through a sandstorm by following statues of swordswomen, pointing him in the correct direction. It's very likely these were sculpted by the Gerudo, and later moved by the Sheikah. Statues of Gerudo warriors are found around the town, and have the same low-poly design. Lane describes these statues as remnants of an age-long past. It certainly sounds like they've been around for a long time. But what of the labyrinths? Masterworks has a chart which marks them as Zonai-made. Their purpose is quite clear: mazes that, once cleared, uncover blessing shrines. There is one key difference though. Other puzzles such as Shrouded Shrine and the Silent Swordswomen are structures repurposed for the sake of the quest. The Lome labyrinths differ since it's the structure itself that acts as the puzzle. No adjustments are necessary, as if it was built specifically for the Sheikah shrine. But our recent deduction made this impossible, since the Zonai most likely disappeared before the technology was created. And that's true, if we were to assume the labyrinths were made by the Zonai. Before I elaborate further, we must discuss a topic that's sort of become a meme when it comes to the Zonai. Let's make something clear. A swirl doesn't automatically connect something or someone to the Zonai tribe. The use of swirls as evidence has become very controversial when it comes to theories. As a theorist, you quickly come to realize there are a lot of swirl-like patterns in the Zelda series. For me specifically, there are two ways to look at it. First option is that only the swirls from Breath of the Wild and its sequel can be considered evidence. Because the Zonai and its symbol were introduced in Breath of the Wild, any swirls appearing in games before its release are considered coincidental. The second option is the ability to distinguish Zonai swirls from the norm. We're going to implement the latter rule for the time being, and this will contradict information present in the Masterworks book. But given the evidence, there is a solid case to be made here. Masterwork states the whirling or spiral pattern are also characteristic of the Zonai. This symbol does indeed share a connection with this tribe. The image paired with this passage is a shot of the South Lome Labyrinth's exterior, with the walls lined with swirls. However, this style is only present on the three labyrinths. The ones found on the animal motifs and other ruins feature a swirl with a small tick at the end. If we consider this to be the true symbol of the Zonai, things get interesting. The labyrinths of Breath of the Wild are the only Zonai-made structures which feature a swirl different from those on other ruins. And as already mentioned, it contradicts the idea of the Zonai vanishing prior to the birth of Sheikah technology. But this is with the assumption that the mazes were, indeed, constructed by this tribe. What if, in reality, the Zonai had no involvement in the creation of the Lomé labyrinths? Past examples have been of ancient ruins repurposed by the Sheikah for the sake of the shrine trials. In this scenario, we have colossal mazes specifically designed with the intent of housing shrines, a feat which could only be accomplished by a single tribe, none other than the Sheikah. It explains why the spiral present on the mazes lacks the tick found on Zonai structures. It's a completely different design exclusive to the Lomé labyrinths. Carvings of dragon heads are visible on the entrance of each maze. It's clearly of the ones seen in Faron and other Zonai ruins. However, there are some key differences. The dragons on the labyrinth walls are much more blockier, with a slightly different facial construction. It's a different art style. The structures found in other ruins, such as Typhlo and their main base in Faron, are visually much more weathered. Compared to the Lomé labyrinths, these statues look a lot older. In fact, the same can be said with the maze as a whole. It's aged quite well and doesn't appear to be nearly as run down as the animal statues. But what about the walls of the three mazes? It's clearly the same design used for anything Zonai related. It even includes the snake engravings found on their pillars. However, there's something very strange about these carvings. The South Lomé Labyrinth gives us a clear view of this pattern, which for some reason is upside down? Other locations which use these walls, such as Zonai Ruins and Thundra Plateau, have them properly oriented. On some occasions, they are found laying sideways, examples being Sarjan Bridge and Guccini Plain Barrows. But those engraved on pillars are always positioned properly. Why would the Zonai choose to make the ones on the mazes upside down? The answer is simple. It was not the Zonai, but the Sheikah who were responsible. The Lomé labyrinths of Akkala, Hebra, and the Gerudo Desert were built to resemble Zonai architecture, and this is only scratching the surface in terms of evidence. The mazes are incredibly massive, far larger than any other structure seen from the Zonai. It's hard to believe that a tribe such as this had both the technology and manpower to build the labyrinths. This isn't even taken into account the one within Akkala, placed far beyond Hyrule's main landmass. Within the mazes lie torches designed to resemble dragon heads. What's important to note is how they appear to be powered not by flames, but electricity. While the tribe is closely tied to this element, with their main base located in Faron, this technology is not present anywhere else. The closest they get to light sources are the bird torches from Typhlo ruins. The Zonai were savage. It's unlikely the electrical torches within the mazes were constructed by them. But the most important bit of information we can get is from the labyrinths themselves. All three have a very manufactured look. Smooth floors, walls, and edges cover the maze, and it gives an overall blocky feel. Nothing about the maze feels natural, and all three stick out like a sore thumb on the game's map. We've seen this style before, and it definitely wasn't from the Zonai. I'm talking about the interior of shrines. The platforms, walls, and floor give off the same vibes with their blocky feel and smooth textures. This connection is made even more clear through some of the labyrinth's odd design choices. Platforms which feel like they are floating above the mazes. And who can forget the blocks protruding from the ceiling of Akkala's underground portion? It somewhat resembles the design of shrines and rooms from the Trial of the Sword. There's a good chance these labyrinths were solely built to enshrine Sheikah trials to be overcome by the hero. Aside from housing some chests, there doesn't appear to be any other purpose to them. It's a recreation of something vaguely Zonai, and only the Sheikah, with their advancements, could pull off something so massive. Completing the three mazes rewards the player with parts of the barbarian armor set. Each part will increase Link's attack stat by 1, which lets you max out your offensive ability once the full set is worn. Direct translations of the Japanese version give this armor a different name: the Savage Tribe's clothes, loincloth, and headpiece. Both terms are very similar, therefore we'll refer to it as barbarian gear to prevent confusion. Nothing is lost in terms of context when the description of the three pieces are translated. Like its localization, three factors remain constant. The armor was once worn by a warlike tribe, said to have been located within the Faron region long ago. and that the design of these markings were meant to swell your fighting spirit, increasing the individual's offensive ability. There's only one tribe which matches this description: the Zonai, said to have existed long ago, with their home base deep within Faron. It's unclear what this armor is made of, however upgrading it comes at the cost of Lynel parts. The only other material needed is for the final upgrade, which requires shards of Farosh, Naedra, and Dinrail's horns. In addition, the barbarian armor's fur resembles that of a red and white-maned Lynel. Combined with the skull and curve of the horns, the gear may have been made using these monster parts. The barbarian set helps paint a better picture in terms of what the Zonai were like. All three descriptions specifically use the term warlike, disposed toward or threatening war, a hostile tribe. It's important to know of this armor since it will be the foundation of a later topic. But who exactly is this tribe? While they don't make a physical appearance, we can apply what we currently know and come up with some possibilities. As previously mentioned, there are a select few structures which use the authentic Zonai swirl, and all of them are exclusive to relics found in the tribe's ruins, with the exception of one. For some odd reason, the swirl with a tick is present on the blocks used for Korok puzzles. It couldn't be. Could it? The Kokiri emblem is similar to the Zonai swirl, though it does differ in style. The only part linking them together is the spiraling design. While this tribe is only present in Ocarina of Time, the Koroks appear in Breath of the Wild, and are confirmed to be connected to the bloodline of the Forest Children. The Kokiri Forest is said to be the source of life itself, deterring outsiders and maintaining the order of the world. The tribe is closely associated with both nature and life. Link is gifted the Kokiri's emerald from the Deku Tree once his curse is lifted. These connections, along with the color green, ties back to Farore, goddess of courage, who produced all life forms with her rich soul. We know the main base of the Zonai tribe was deep within the woods of Faron, and the Spring of Courage within Breath of the Wild happens to be in the heart of the Zonai ruins. The Kokiri aren't always visible to people, thanks to the protection and guidance of the Deku Tree. With the passing of ages, Breath of the Wild pushes a similar narrative with its Korok tribe. The forest spirits cannot be seen by most, their existence questioned by many. The Zonai are said to have vanished thousands of years ago, a parallel to the Kokiri and Koroks. A small passage from Masterworks helps describe the Koroks seen from Breath of the Wild. The word Kanagena is used, which has multiple possible readings: brave, noble, courageous, commendable, heroic, admirable. We know the race had constructed a variety of gear, such as the Forest Dweller's sword, bow, and shield. The phrasing used in the Japanese version is person of the forest. Even the Kokiri had crafted weapons, since the beginning of the game has the player find a Kokiri sword and Deku shield. A race with close ties to nature, said to be a warlike tribe which disappeared long ago. But is there really a connection to the Kokiri and Koroks? Most likely not. While the Koroks did craft weapons, many of them were made with the intent of being used by humans. The few weapons crafted and wielded by this race were most likely required for self-defense. Some evidence of a connection may exist, but it's purely coincidental. A warlike tribe wouldn't require protection from a guardian, but all this means is that our answer lies elsewhere. A small fishing settlement lies to the southeast of Hyrule, on the coastline which connects Hyrule to the Necluda Sea. Lurelin village is home to many fishermen within a tropical climate. Unlike most settlements and towns, Lurelin remained unscathed during the Great Calamity up until the present day. And while other locations such as Kakariko Village and Zora's Domain are part of the main quest, the player never has to visit this village for the story. Above the huts lay banners, with a familiar looking symbol, a swirl. Problem is, we've already established what defines a Zonai swirl. These lack a noticeable tick. But our investigations don't stop there. Both the inn and chest game are within bigger buildings made out of giant ships. The same banners are present, but if we look closely, each side has engravings of a very familiar looking symbol, a swirl, with a small tick at the end. In fact, it's the exact same as those found on ancient Zonai ruins. Are the residents of Lurelin Village descendants of the Zonai tribe? The settlement is relatively close to the Zonai ruins, with a path connecting the two locations. Directly east of this village lies another unsolved mystery, the Palmore ruins, location of the fragmented monument side quest. A relic which resembles the shape of the Twilight Mirror is present, though its design is of something completely different. Finding all fragments restores the passage, used to gain access to the Ka Shrine. The origins of the monument are unknown, however the multiple Zonai-styled pillars and walls suggest it too is a creation of the Forgotten Tribe. The text engraved is most likely made from luminous stone as it lights up in the nighttime. Other ruins from both Faron and Typhlo are often paired with this material. Examples are the luminous eyes of the dragon and owl, and the luminous ore surrounded by 6 dragon heads. Since the text is directly connected to the puzzle of the shrine, it may have been designed by the Sheikah and added to Zonai ruins. No other relics or ruins of the tribe hold a structure similar to this. The information we're looking for comes from Gurini, a local who helps translate the passage which hints at the answer to the puzzle. The symbols on the monument differ from ancient Hylian, Sheikah, or Gerudo script. This language may be associated with the barbarians of Faron. If so, this makes the exchange between Link and Gurini hold a deeper meaning. If Gurini, a resident of Lurelin, was able to translate the passage on the monument, perhaps he can read it because he is a descendant of the Zonai. If the residents of the village were related by blood, the existence of Lurelin makes much more sense. Breath of the Wild has a number of villages and settlements, with 1 per race. The Hylians, Sheikah, Zora, Gorons, Gerudo, Rito, and Koroks. Terrytown is the combination of several races. But what of Lurelin? Is it simply another settlement inhabited by Hylians? If we were to label this as a Zonai village, the rule of 1 settlement per race fits perfectly. A passage from Masterworks on the Akkala Citadel makes this mystery even more compelling. Translations state, Fort Akkala's main tactical role was to draw in enemies attacking the Akkala district from the seas and stop them from invading central Hyrule. The book implies that the kingdom had some sort of clash with another group, Sea Invaders. The Citadel's purpose was to repel these forces from invading Hyrule. It explains the use of cannons, and why the fort was swiftly overrun by guardians in the Great Calamity. But who exactly were these Sea Invaders? Out of all the settlements, 1 lies close to the shoreline, none other than Lurelin Village. And if the residents are indeed descendants of Faron's barbarians, perhaps the Sea Invaders mentioned in Masterworks are of the same tribe. It's possible that long ago the Zonai traveled across the sea in an attempt to invade Hyrule, but were repelled from Akkala due to the firepower. To bypass the impenetrable defenses of the stronghold, they landed south within Faron. The lack of soldiers combined with the thick vegetation made this region the perfect hiding spot. They ventured deep into the forest and lived as the savage tribe referenced in Breath of the Wild, slowly establishing their culture through the construction of Zonai structures all across the land. Thousands of years later, their descendants migrated to the shoreline of Faron, giving birth to Lurelin Village. If their ancestors were the Sea Invaders referenced in Masterworks, it explains why some of the bigger buildings are made from boats. Page 407 of Masterworks gives us more information on the purpose of the Zonai ruins. The stronghold of the Zonai. Faith in the water dragon considered to have been met there, with many stones encircling the Spring of Courage modeled after a dragon. More stoneworks come to be in the image of a dragon too, and all of these are considered to be a holy ground for the Zonai. According to this passage, the Zonai had worshipped a water dragon. While none of the game's dragons are associated with the element of water, the Spring of Courage lies within the heart of these ruins. The spring must have existed prior to the construction of Zonai architecture, given the wording of the passage. Faith in the water dragon was met here. The only dragon which matches this description is Farosh. The tribe's home is within the Faron region, and close to the spring which happens to be connected to this dragon. And while Farosh is referenced as a spirit of electricity, it's the only dragon that spawns from the water. It's also possible that the water dragon mentioned is one that doesn't appear in Breath of the Wild. Skyward Sword has its share of dragon gods, one of which is named Faron. In this case, they are described as a water dragon. A quote from her confirms that humans had once lived in the woods, and were in harmony with nature. If we're talking about ancient humans, perhaps the Zonai consisted of the Hylians living on the surface pre-Skyward Sword, before the Breach of Demise and Raising of Skyloft. Were the barbarians of Faron ancient Hylians? Probably not. We see structures built by ancient Hylians, such as the Promenade and Forgotten Temple. In fact, the pillars seen at the ancient columns have a distinct engraving on them. It's the exact same ones within the Skyview Temple in Skyward Sword. These ruins have their own distinct style, contrasting that of the Zonai's. Masterworks also categorizes the ruins as ancient Hylian or Zonai-made. There's another reason why the tribe can't be related to ancient Hylians, which will be further explained later on. Out of all the structures built by the Zonai, one group in particular stands out: the statues which depict the face of a boar, owl, and dragon. Faron is home to many of these relics, but the owl and dragons can be found in huge quantities within Typhlo ruins. Masterworks gives us more information regarding these ruins. The historic sites of the Zonai consist primarily of animal motifs, with dragons, courage, owls, wisdom, and pigs, power, and such, so that the intending design gave a sense of the history of the Triforce from ancient times. Each virtue of the Triforce is connected to a specific animal: boars for power, owls for wisdom, and dragons for courage. It explains why the Zonai ruins has an abundance of dragons along its path, as the Spring of Courage is located deep within their ruins. It was considered holy ground for the Zonai. This warlike tribe appears to have a closer connection to the Triforce than we initially thought. Their interpretation of the Golden Power differed to most. As a savage tribe, it makes sense for them to correlate each virtue with a certain animal or beast. Like them, these creatures would be considered savage and, well, animalistic. Things get interesting once we head northeast of Sargon Bridge. There's a boar surrounded by 6 pillars, only 5 of them are still standing. Since the boar is associated with power, and Ganondorf is frequently seen transforming into a boar-like creature, it's very likely this is intended to represent the sealing of Ganon by the 6 sages. Is this supposed to be the events of Ocarina of Time, retold from the perspective of the Zonai? If so, it means the Zonai were alive during or after the game's events. And this is why the chances of the tribe being ancient Hylians is unlikely. When Demise entered the realm, the humans of the surface were presumably wiped out. The only survivors were those of Skyloft. The chronological order of events creates a plot hole for this theory. Faron isn't the only location with a formation such as this. Typhlo Ruins holds an even more compelling mystery: one luminous ore surrounded by 6 dragon heads. 6 links? Or is it simply a hint to Typhlo's shrine puzzle? The pale blue glow of luminous stones is said to be from the souls of the dead, and the Zonai are said to have mysteriously disappeared thousands of years ago. On the topic of the 3 animals, one that sticks out is the boar. Well, to be more specific, it sticks out by not sticking out. There's a lack of these statues all across Hyrule. In fact, the only boars that appear are within Faron. Only one can be found in the Zonai ruins, with the rest strewn across the main path of Faron. In contrast, both the owls and dragons make an appearance inside and outside of Faron. The boar statues are left unkept, most of them half buried in the ground. It's as if they've been cast aside and forgotten. In fact, they are the only statues which never feature a body. Both the owls and dragons are often presented as full figures, yet only the boar's head is ever seen. It can hardly be considered a statue with the way it's presented, as if it's been wiped from history. A compelling mystery, which will be addressed later on. There's one Zonai structure we have yet to discuss, the towers which are scattered across Hyrule. Many of them hold chests at the top. They somewhat resemble the shape of Sheikah towers, but what exactly is their purpose? It's one of Breath of the Wild's most bizarre mysteries. Masterworks has a passage delving further into their origins. Stone pillars of obscured purpose, referred to together with the Zonai towers. Considered to hold a mystical charm, those observed at many sites in various places of Hyrule have attained nothing less than mystique. The book specifically refers to them as Zonai-made, holding a mystical charm. They're implied to be related to a form of magic or spell. The tribe is referred to as magic wielders, but can we find concrete evidence of this? Unfortunately, we have very little to go off of. One possibility was brought up by fellow theorist Rinkuto. He notes how many Zonai towers are present within Guccini Plain barrows. The term barrows is used for large structures erected over a place where people were buried in ancient times. It's also close to the Faron region. Could the towers be graves for the Zonai tribe? While it is possible, there is another answer I believe to be more likely. When you look at the concept art for the towers in Masterworks, they look significantly different. A serpent-like creature makes up the shape of the tower, with its head at the top, mouth open. Its resemblance to a dragon links it back to the Savage tribe, as one of the 3 animals and the one revered by the Zonai. Another design features a familiar pattern, the 2 snakes which are engraved into the pillars seen at Zonai ruins. But when you compare these designs to the final version, it's as if all Zonai connections were stripped away. Only a couple of them have the snake design at their base. It's more likely these towers are a construction of Hylians. There's only one part of the structure which helps us link it to a certain tribe. At the very top lies a pattern carved into the rock. And guess what? The same pattern is seen on another structure, one that many players know all too well, the Temple of Time. Going further, these so-called Zonai towers are oddly similar to others found at locations such as Senadin Park and Sacred Ground ruins. The answer to this puzzle is quite simple. The Zonai towers aren't Zonai towers. Chances are they were originally planned to be of Zonai origins, but underwent a drastic change in development which ultimately stripped them of their Zonai connections. Despite this, they decided to keep the name. It explains why the towers appear all across Hyrule and aren't exclusive to Zonai ruins. One has to question if these structures used to have a different purpose. If so, what was it? This brings us back full circle to the teaser for Breath of the Wild 2, and why the Zonai are so frequently talked about. One of the shots gives us a look at 2 pillars submerged in water, the same ones we see within Zonai ruins. The double snake pattern is also present on the 2 seen from the sequel's trailer. There's a bridge which is supported by statues of what may be dragons, however the style is different from Zonai structures. Patterns on the cavern walls depict both a dragon and owl, again with a style not yet seen in the first game. There must be some significance to these details, but what exactly? It's possible the hand-sealing Ganondorf has some connections to the ancient hero. The trailer introduces us to a greenish energy spiraling away from the corpse. We have Malice, connected to Ganondorf's dark power, and the blue fluid of the Sheikah technology, which Zelda shows an interest in. Could the green substance be tied to the virtue of courage, and therefore to the hero? The Zonai already have ties to this virtue as their base is located beside the sacred spring of courage. The ancient hero on the tapestry has been connected to Ganondorf as red hair is visible on the person. However, there is another possibility. The barbarian armor, used by the Zonai, has red hair. Perhaps the ancient hero fought the Calamity while wearing the barbarian gear. A closer look at the hand brings up the question of whether it's related to the one holding Ganondorf down in the trailer, as the same energy is absorbed into Link's right hand. Others have pointed out how it may be a depiction of the jewelry on the figure, as the color closely matches. Unfortunately, the chronological order of events makes it impossible for the hand to belong to the ancient hero. Ganondorf would have been sealed below the castle before the events of the battle 10,000 years ago. Many rocks are visible within the caverns, which appear to resemble luminous stones. As previously discussed, their glow is said to be from souls of the dead. Given their abundance, perhaps it's related to the tribe's sudden disappearance. There's some cave paintings which show a man on a horse with a trident, most likely the Gerudo King Ganondorf, along with soldiers following him into battle. Adding some filters to the shot gives us the following picture. There's a portion above the head which resembles a pig mask. The Zonai were described as savages, a warlike tribe with close connections to the Triforce through their animal motifs. Were these barbarians followers of Ganondorf? There's one detail of the barbarian armor worth pointing out. Equipping it gives Link a sort of body paint, which, according to the translations of Masterworks, enhances the soul by raising your fighting spirit. The compendium entry for all the silver monsters mentions that the increased power comes from the purple markings, due to Ganon's evil magic. Since the barbarian gear increases Link's attack stat, are these two connected? If so, it means the barbarian armor was enchanted by Ganondorf's dark power to make it stronger. And why else would he do that unless the Zonai themselves were followers of Ganon? But we can't forget the lack of boars within Hyrule. Only a select few appear in Faron, with most of them buried in the ground. If the Zonai were loyal to the King of Evil, why would the owls and dragons have more of a presence? And why would they retell the events of their leader being sealed by the sages? It's a mystery which may never be solved. The Zonai is, without a doubt, one of Breath of the Wild's greatest mysteries. There's bits and pieces of the puzzle scattered throughout the game, but not enough to come to a definitive answer. This video was mostly based on facts and information found from Breath of the Wild, its sequel, and the Masterworks book. However, when it comes to the origins and story of this tribe, there are many theories circulating the web regarding their influence on other Zelda games, and connections to past tribes of the series. Therefore, Part 2 will go over the possible connections of them to other games such as Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. In the meantime, thank you for watching this video on the Zonai. No other project has taken as much time as this, so if you enjoy then make sure to subscribe. Special thanks to all of the people who helped with the discussion, research, and translations. Specifically, I'd like to thank LoruleanHistorian, Nonoctoro, Rinkuto, Kohle, Link, and Chateau LonLon, as they have been key players in the making of this video. Part 2 will take some time to make, so I ask that you be patient as that gets worked on. Thank you to all my patrons, you are truly amazing. We frequently discuss theories in our Discord, as well as hang out in general. A link to that and my Twitter will be down below. I've been NintendoBlackCrisis, signing off. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time.